Welcome back to the RiftGuides WildRift video, and today we're going to talk about the best SoloQ champions. So, let's just get to our question of the day first. Do you prefer to play SoloQ or play with friends? Tell me in the comments below. So obviously, since we're talking about the best SoloQ champions, we are going full meta here and it's gonna be crazy. First up, we have the Baron lane as per usual, and we have a known criminal here, it's Riven. Yet again, she avoided any meaningful nerf, and the item changes or nerfs don't really matter to her in any meaningful way. This champion is obnoxious, powerful, crazy, and just way too strong, but it won't get nerfed because, well, you know how it goes, her win rate isn't high enough because people just run it relentlessly down on her because this champion requires a little bit of skill compared to, for example, a Malphite. Nonetheless, this champion is super easy to play and just absolutely fear-inducing. I just have no other word for this. So what are you doing as a Riven in lane? You just sit in the wave and wait until the enemy gets close. Then you auto attack them once to see if they have bone plating, and if they don't have bone plating, well, it's game time. You just spam your first ability and your auto attacks until the enemy is just close to dying. It's literally this. And afterwards, as you're doing this, or by the way, as you're doing this, the wave will also be killed. As a consequence, the enemy has no way of trading back because your minions will just attack him as well, and his minions are dead, so what is he supposed to do? Nothing. Run away. And when that point happens, it's already doomed for him. Because now, if that happens, you can just slowly push the next incoming waves and call over your jungler. And with this, you immediately dive the enemy Baron laner, and you already know if this happens and you're the Baron laner that's on the receiving end, you basically surrender the game because you won't be able to play anymore. You'll just be curb stomped into oblivion over and over and over again because that's how it goes. And depending on how big your wave is and how oblivious your team is, you'll get dove again on the wave because it's still dying to the tower, because minions don't ever die to the turret in this game. It takes way too long for them to die. And once the Riven is snowballing and gets access to the trifecta items, the Black Cleaver, Divine Sunder, Death Stance, you already know she's not gonna die anymore. And with that happening, with every kill, she just streaks and keeps on streaking and kills your entire team. Amazing. Great champion. The next champion on this list is in the jungle round. Here we have Olaf. Olaf as a champion is able to successfully full clear the jungle before 2 minutes. He can start blue buff with his first ability and then just farm himself down to the other side of the map, immediately recall and then go for another play on the other side of the map. He'll be level 5 and have a great time. There's little to no variance as towards the early game of Olaf. But now we need to talk about what this champion does once he gets rolling. He has a glory enchant, his ultimate ability, and he'll run you down. There's nothing you can do about this because that is what Olaf does best. Especially into compositions with a lot of CC and squishy champions, he just runs at them and takes them down. It's what he does and what he loves doing the most. And with the current items in the game, similar to Riven, he will just constantly streak, reset, and have a great time about not dying. But here's something I want to say to every jungle player out there. Please stop coin flipping ganks. You don't need to do just 2 camps and constantly gank like a Lee Sin maniac. No, you can farm your jungle and have a lot of gold. More gold than other people that just flip ganks. It is really that broken. Farming is good, but please pay attention to the map. Sometimes you just have to stop farming or maybe even drop a camp to go to a play on a specific way if you need to be there. And then you can counter gank and turn the game into completely your favor, because once you get a kill in the early game, for example in the enemy jungle, it is most of the time over for them, unless they flip ganks on the other side of the map, which yet again you can potentially read and counter gank yourself. Another thing we have to talk about is the primary ganker for the mid lane, and it's Katarina. This champion is the most annoying champion to deal with because she just drops wave after wave after wave to just go for the next coin flip play. I've seen so many Katarinas just walk around the map ignoring farm and just going for the most stupid plays ever, but they happen to work out because of the nature of this champion, the reset nature. She just needs to get one single kill and then she cleans house, and it's so annoying to deal with because people don't keep their CC, they don't pay attention, they don't care, which is why Katarina is so unbelievably busted in the game. Similar to any other assassin in the game, by the way. They just love this kind of gameplay, and since people don't use a minimap or don't have one or just whatever reason they don't look at it, she just gets away with everything she does. And even in the laning phase, she can do a lot of harm. For example, if she starts with a longsword, and in the previous times you would run Conqueror here to just increase your attack damage, but nowadays you can just go for Electrocute if you really want to. You just blast the enemy away with a quick trade and just hurt them in ways you cannot even imagine. Even the Gunblade Katarina is back on track because of how the champion works with her reset nature. She can just go for it and kill you. But the most consistent build most of the time I see is a Prophet's Pendant into the Rabadon Staff Cap. But yet again, Katarina one-tricks will say anything they want, and they will just justify, similar to Riven one-tricks, that their champion takes a lot of skill, and just don't believe them, don't. But the champion still is substantially broken in the SoloQ context, so you should try to pick him up if you play mid lane. In Legendary Q it looks a little bit different because the game is a little bit more controlled, so yeah, and especially in competitive, unplayable champion. But in SoloQ, perfect. Farm the people that don't pay attention, and you don't even have to understand the game properly. It is literally how it goes, and you can't tell me otherwise because, well, I've seen it too many times happening. Next up comes a champion for the AD carry role, and here we have the best AD carry in the game for climbing purposes, and this is Lucian. If you have the proper ability to play the champion, you'll just ascend ranks super fast, because this champion is substantially broken in the SoloQ context. Contrary to most normal AD carries, Lucian has the ability to dominate lane on his own, completely unrelated to his support being obnoxious or lost in space, or the enemy, because you have the ability to dash in, poke from range, and secure the kill with completely all your own tools. So if the enemy is bad, which in a SoloQ context happens all the time, you'll have an easy way punishing people. Just aim your first ability in lane for minions and poke the enemy, then when you see an opportunity when the enemy mispositions, for example this enemy support isn't in range of his AD carry, you can just quickly trade them and get away with it. And if you repeat that multiple times, you will find yourself with an easy kill pickup. Not only that, once you hit level 5, all you need to do is hit your second ability, press your ultimate, and the enemy will be gunned down if they have no summoner spell available. In terms of power spikes, your champion is strong at all times, but exceptionally spikes on 3 items: Stormrazor, Infinity Edge, and Solari Charge Blade. Once you get those 3 items, you'll instantaneously blast any squishy champion into oblivion. And the other items you want later on is a Cyrilda's Grudge and a Bloodthirster. But why exactly a Bloodthirster compared to a GA? If you need to carry, you're not allowed to die, because once you go into GA or Guardian Angel, you are dependent on your teammates to cover for you, because if they don't protect you once you're on the revive animation, the enemy will just kill you again. Or against certain champions, for example Caitlyn or any root CC champion, it's just suicide to have GA because you'll just die again, because yet again you can't trust your teammates. Therefore, just having a Bloodthirster allows you to quickly weave in a fight or weave out of the fight. And then you can heal up or just continue fighting with the lifesteal you have from Vampirism and the Bloodthirster. It makes things so much easier because you can actually carry and do everything on your own, which most of the time you have to in SoloQ. Last but not least, we have the full AP Rakan support. This champion loves demolishing teamfights, and teamfights in the current meta happen all the time. So what about a full AP Rakan that just one-shots the enemy team by grouping them up and then knocking them up with his grand entrance while using Electrocute on their face? It looks lovely, and this champion's damage is absurd even if he just goes normal tanky items. But let's talk about Rakan's laning phase. Rakan's laning phase is a little bit lackluster in terms of the early game. Level 1 he can jump in, but then he's exposed. If the enemy exhausts his all-in or flashes it, it can get very messy very fast. As soon as he is level 2 and level 3, he can just quickly go in and go out of it again. But the real deal about Rakan is his level 5. On level 5, Rakan can just secure a kill with his ultimate ability, because if the enemy doesn't react fast enough with his flash, then the Rakan will lock them down, knock them up, and allow his teammates to instantaneously kill them. And if the Rakan goes AP, he will do enough damage to remove an AD carry from the game or deal thousands upon thousands of damage in a teamfight. You'll be very much surprised. Another thing people don't really know about Rakan is a secret thing about his first ability. Especially if he is full AP, he can use his ability on, for example, Dragon or Baron to gain the healing effect of his first ability and heal allies. So for example, if you're doing Nashor or want to do Nashor when your team is low, Rakan can heal up the entire team if they clump up together and therefore secure the Nashor when you previously believed you couldn't even do so. It's a little secret, so keep that in mind.